Hello and welcome to Science Research Weekly, Season 5, Episode 9. My science list is weirder than yours. Get ready for the dangers of cold weather on cardiovascular health. New amphipods aplenty. A list of habitable rocky exoplanets, pico-satellite concepts, mitochondrial flickers, toxin antidote systems in vertebrates, and using science to find the best decaf coffee. This will cover material from March 20th to March 26th. Let's get started with some research articles. First up is the short report, Cardiovascular Disease Mortality Attributable to Monthly Non-Optimal Temperature in the United States, a county-level analysis. The researchers looked at non-ambient temperatures, so hotter or colder temperatures than sort of the mean or the, I believe, called the monthly mean temperature, and they found actually a lot more attributable deaths, a lot more attributable mortality in colder weather. So turns out cold weather kills a lot more people, is a lot more dangerous than hot weather. And if you're watching the video, you can see figure one, looking at the rate ratio, and see goes up quite precipitously for colder temperatures, whereas there's a smaller increase in hot temperatures and much less variation. Obviously, temperature can only get so much more hot, whereas you can get quite a bit colder. All right, next article. New deep-sea amphipoda from the Clarion-Clipperton Zone. 24 new species described under the Sustainable Seabed Knowledge Initiative 1,000 Reasons campaign. So researchers found 24 new species of amphipods. These are crustaceans. And that was kind of interesting, especially there's a nice picture from the National Oceanography Center, which I think funded this or carried this out. There's a compilation of the 24 different species. Next up, we have Probing the Limits of Habitability, a catalog of rocky exoplanets in the habitable zone. So researchers looked through the thousands of discovered exoplanets and tested limits of surface habitability and came up with sort of a subset, specifically 45 rocky worlds, or with a narrower habitable zone criteria, 24 of them. And so these are essentially a list of ones that could really be potentially habitable based on what we know. Next up, there is text embedding models yield detailed conceptual knowledge maps derived from short multiple choice quizzes. So researchers used this test of looking at different Khan Academy course videos and created this conceptual knowledge map tracking how well they actually did. And yeah, it was a little complicated of understanding what they're going with here, but looking at the figures, let's see if we can grab the figures. Yeah, they're able to have this sort of trajectory map. So I think the idea of actually trying to model retention or how well people actually retain their knowledge, have maps of their knowledge, I think is interesting. Again, I would need to dig more into this, but it just caught my eye in such a way that I thought it was at least important to bring up and people can look more into it. All right, that comes to the end of our time here with the normal journal articles. Let's dive into the preprints. Two from Archive. The first one, which it looks like it actually was subsequently printed in Royal Society Open Science. The paper is Dynamical Systems and Cosmology, Reviewing an Alternative Approach, which is essentially a review of using dynamical systems analyses in cosmology, as the name would suggest. Then the other article is Massive Star Clusters Detected by JWST, the James Webb Space Telescope, as natural birthplaces to form intermediate mass black holes. So, as the title would say, looking into potential regions where these intermediate black holes could form. All right, switching over, we have three from bioRxiv. The first one is beyond pulsing dyes are flickers the language of the mitochondrial network. Turns out when you stain mitochondrial membranes, for imaging, for analysis, there's these flickers. They're live cell imaging, transient reversible depolarization events based on the dyes. And it looks like that might not just be an artifact, might not just be random noise. It actually might be a way of, there might be a biological significance of the flickers. So that's what the paper looks into. Next article, the morphotype approach to classification of aerial animals in radar data. So you can use radar data in subfield of ecology called aerial ecology to sort of make inferences about aerial wildlife. And the researcher here was sort of using radar data and sort of breaking down sort of these signals into movement-based aerial morphotypes to not just sort of detect general ecological aerial sort of observation of organisms, but to get to morphotype, which can actually separate down to a small number of species to actually get aerial diversity at a finer grain level than before. All right, final article is a vertebrate toxin-antidote system that sabotages mouse embryogenesis. So I just learned about these toxin antidote systems or toxin antitoxin systems. They're in bacteria. They often can be useful, but it turns out they're also looks like to be selfish genetic elements that bias their own inheritance. And while they're typically found in bacteria and archaea and can be used for certain things, and even across higher organisms like fungi, plant, and vertebrates, they haven't been described in vertebrates, but now they have in mouse embryos. And so that's what the paper goes through. All right, we'll switch gears here now, do some research tools. There's a couple R bloggers posts. First, from R programming books and R bloggers, Digital Biology with R, Advanced Bioinformatics, Predictive Modeling, and Time Series Analysis for Modern Life Sciences. So it just goes over some of that material. And then a more fun, whimsical one from Data Analysis and AI Archives by Giles is Using Science to Find the Best Decaf, where he was trying to blind test decaf across against caffeinated coffee and was actually able to tell the difference. Though, as he says, sort of some of the statistics was a little fast and loose, but it was certainly an interesting, just a little write-up. All right, finally here, we have some new R CRAN packages. There's IX Surface, interactive 3D surface plots for multi-factor interaction visualization, Longitree, decision tree analysis for longitudinal measurement data, GG Forest Plot R, publication-ready forest plots in ggplot2, KS Formal, SAS-style proc format for R, stop motion, build stop motion animations from image sequences, subtools, read and manipulate video subtitles, and finally taxodist, taxonomic distance and phylogenetic lineage computation. That's all of our time here today. There are no new grants I felt worthwhile examining. So with that, have a great day, and as always, science on.